the most obvious and reliable characteristic for knowing people's personality is their actions and behaviors over time. Because despite the fact that people always say that they have learned a lesson from life and, talk about their changes, but you will inevitably notice that they keep repeating repetitive behaviors and decisions in their lives. In fact, they show their true character with these decisions. In this regard, we should pay attention to any outstanding and impressive behavior, like disappearing during high stress, not completing important tasks, getting nervous and aggressive when faced with challenges. In addition, pay attention to their personal work, because we should not consider their behavior as random events. This is a law that says people never do something once. Rather, they may try to justify their behavior and be sure that they will repeat whatever stupidity they have done in another situation. And this is due to their character and habits. In fact, they may show something different from the mask they wear in some situations. For example, during the reign of Augustus, there was a notorious lawyer and orator named Cassius Severus. He, who was extremely busy in his work, criticized the luxurious lifestyle of the Roman courtiers and high-ranking people. In the beginning, due to his tone and fiery speeches, he had attracted the attention of some people, and gradually his followers became more and more. He spoke at a high level and said his words humorously, and this matter was very attractive to people. He had faced the growing acceptance of the people. Now he had gained strength and attacked the official authorities in a more severe tone. He recklessly insulted them, and his criticisms were too much. So this practice angered the statesmen to the extent that they warned Severus to stop this practice. But after a while, his words lost their freshness, and people did not gather around him like before. And this issue made Severus even more determined. So his words had become so harsh and fiery and rude that finally, in the 7th year after AD, the statesman got impatient and ordered to burn all the books of Severus and exiled himself to an island called Crete. But despite the harsh conditions of his life in exile, he still did not stop destroying and mudslinging, and regularly sent copies of his last words to Rome. The Roman statesman warned him again, but Severus did not pay attention. Rather, he began his insults and criticism this time against the local statesmen of Crete. Finally, in 24 AD, the Senate, in a wise decision, exiled him to a remote place called Seriphos Hill in the Aegean Sea. He spent the last 8 years of his life there, and it can be imagined that he was still busy making objections and saying harsh and rude words that no one heard. It's hard to believe, but most people cannot stop their self-destructive tendencies. Just like this sentence from the Bible that says, like a dog that returns to its bark, a fool also repeats his folly. In fact, in order to measure the quality of people's character, it is enough to examine their behavior carefully. And as we mentioned before, we should not ignore small, simple behaviors and ignore them. In another example, in 1969, American businessman and politician Jeb Magruder went to San Clemente to attend a job interview at Richard Nixon's organization. The person interviewing him was Bob Haldeman, who was the White House chief of staff at the time. Haldeman was a man absolutely determined and committed to Nixon's goals. And he impressed Magruder with his sharpness, honesty, and intelligence. And when the interview was over, they decided to get in the golf cart and go for a tour of San Clemente. But Haldeman suddenly realized that there was no car for them and started shouting and yelling at the car attendant. His manner was rude and condescending, and he actually came out from behind his mask for a moment and showed his personality. Magruder should have taken these signs seriously and realized that Haldeman is not who he appears to be, but he was fascinated and seduced by the aura of power of Nixon's organization. And only this job was important to him, so he chose to ignore these signs, a decision he regretted years later and sentenced him to prison in the Watergate scandal. In life, people are very good at hiding the weaknesses of their characters, but when they are weak, nervous, and stressed, they forget their masks and may show their true selves. Thank you for watching the video. And lastly, always pay attention to the small and daily behaviors of people.